Today, we are going to do the heart of a tree. Before going through this lovely piece, let us first study the new figures of speech which will help us enjoy the heart of a tree even better. Hypophora. Hypophora is a figure of speech of asking a question at the very beginning of the stanza and then immediately answering it. Why use this technique? To give your readers more information without feeling like you're forcing it upon them. Why does a man kill? He kills for food. And not only food. Frequently there must be a beverage. We need to understand the difference between a metaphor and a metonymy. A metaphor is a literary device where a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable. Metonymy is a literary device that involves the substitution of a name of an attribute or adjunct for that of the thing meant. Metaphor compares two unrelated concepts. Metonymy substitutes the thing named for the thing meant. So what are metaphors? A comparison in which one thing is said to be another. She is a walking dictionary. So, the lady has been compared directly to a dictionary. In the case of metonymy, an object is designated by the name of something which it is generally associated with. For example, the crown is a metonymy for kings. Red coats is a metonymy for British soldiers. We'll go through the next slide to see many more kinds of metonymy to make you understand it better so that you know the difference between a metaphor and metonymy. Let us check out all the various examples of metonymy. Remember, this is a figure of speech which substitutes one word or phrase for another that is closely related. Crown in place of a royal person, the White House in place of the president or others who work there, the suits in place of business people, dish for an entire plate of food, cup for a mug, the Pentagon referring to the staff, the restaurant referring to the staff of a particular restaurant, ears for giving attention. Remember the speech from Mark Antony? Lend me your ears. Eyes for sight. The library for the staff or even the books. Pen for the written word. Sword for military might. Silver fox for an attractive old man. And hired hands for hired help. Anaphora. Anaphora is the deliberate repetition of the first part of the sentence in order to achieve an artistic effect. Example, I want my money right now, right here. All right? Authors often use anaphora to emphasize an idea or underlying point. Reach for a leaf, reach for a cloud, reach for a sky of blue. The repetition of reach for a in the three lines which you can see represents anaphora. Synecdoche. Kindly repeat. Synecdoche. Synecdoche is a figure of speech in which a part is used to represent the whole. For example, the word bread is referred to food or money, as in, writing is my bread and butter, or I am the sole breadwinner in the family. Synecdoche is a figure of speech in which the name of a part is used to refer to a whole. For example, the use of wheels refers to a car. Eliot's use of muddy feet refers to early morning crowds of people heading to work. The use of 20 eyes watching our every move means that 10 people were watching. More examples of Synecdoche. I have 4 mouths to feed at home. Mouths, people. The strings were praised for their excellent performance. Strings, part of a violin. Okay? Check out my new wheels. Wheels are a part of a car, but when I say check out my new wheels, I'm referring to my car. So let's remember this figure of speech.
Synecdoche. Synecdoche.
Polysyndeton is a repetition of conjunctions in close succession. The repetition of conjunctions such as and, or, for, but in close succession, especially when most of them could be replaced with a comma, is known as polysyndeton. He is brave and honest and good and decent. So the use of and, figure of speech, polysyndeton. He is brave, honest, good and decent. This is where we have replaced the conjunction with a comma and therefore the figure of speech does not apply in this sentence. Epithet or transferred epithet is an adjective or adjectival phrase to characterize a person, thing, attribute or quality. The use of a qualifying word or phrase to describe something. For example, Ivan the Terrible, the artist formerly known as Prince, Dwayne the Rock Johnson. It's basically an adjective which has been attached to a person or a thing. After learning so many new figures of speech, we get back to the poem. And now let us know a little more about the poet, Henry Cuyler Bunner. Henry Cuyler Bunner was an American novelist, journalist, and a poet who has written feelings about the benefits of planting a tree. His poem describes innumerable benefits of trees and the shade and the shelter they bring to all life. He claims that people who plant trees plan for a future and for people they do not know. On another level, planting a tree is a symbolic act of goodness, one from which many other acts of goodness will sprout. Although written over a century ago, the poem is very relevant in an age where rapid and reckless development and urbanization are taking their toll on the environment. The heart of a tree. The heart of a tree is written in the form of a lyric. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants a friend of sun and sky. He plants the flag of breezes free, the shaft of beauty towering high. He plants a home to heaven and I, for song and mother croon of bird, in hushed and happy twilight heard, the treble of heaven's harmony. These things he plants who plants a tree. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants cool shade and tender rain, and seeds and buds of days to be, and years that fade and flush again. He plants the glory of the plain. He plants the forest heritage, the harvest of a coming age, the joy that unborn eyes shall see. These things he plants who plants a tree. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants in sap and leaf and wood, in love of home and loyalty, and far cast thought of civic good. His blessings on the neighborhood, who in the hollow of his hand holds all the growth of all our land. A nation's growth from sea to sea stirs in his heart who plants a tree. Let's take a look at the figures of speech in the first stanza. What does he plant who plant a tree? The question at the very beginning, and the answer comes in the following lines. Therefore, the figure of speech is Hypophora. He plants a friend of sun and sky. Friend. Who is the friend? Tree. Comparison. Okay. Human quality is given to the tree. Personification. He plants the flag of breezes free, the shaft of beauty towering high. Flags of breezes, shaft of beauty, metaphor. He plants a home to heaven and high. Metonymy, heaven. Heaven is the metonymy referring to sky. For songs and mother croon of birds, croon, onomatopoeia, sound of the bird you can hear, figure of speech of sound. In hushed and happy twilight heard, the treble of heaven's harmony, H, 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 hushed, happy, heard, heaven's harmony, alliteration. Treble again in blue, metonymy. Treble is pitch, part of music. Happy twilight, transferred epithet. Happy twilight, transferred epithet. Twilight cannot be happy. The birds are making twilight sound happy. For example, noisy classroom. The classroom noisy, the children. Silent road. The road is not silent. There is no one around, which gives it a feeling of silence. The poem opens with the Hypophora. What does he plant who plants a tree? And that sets the tone for the entire poem. The poet answers the question by the following lines. He states that man plants a friend of sun and sky. So who is the friend? The tree. By planting a tree. A plant grows upwards and aims to reach the sun and sky. So it is as if the sun and sky get a new friend in the form of a tree. Secondly, the tree needs sunlight and air to survive. And finally, the tree seems to absorb the heat and save the earth from the scorching sun, giving an implication that the sun becomes friendly in the presence of the trees. The speaker now adds that man plants a flag that flies freely, in the mild breeze. The poet here compares the leafy branches of the tree to a flag and the stem to the beautiful shaft or pole of the flag that stands tall. By planting a tree, man also plants a home to the sweet singing birds in the sky near heaven. Remember heaven, metonymy. So he keeps the earth habitable for birds and helps in maintaining the ecosystem. In quiet and happy twilight, we can hear those birds chirping, which is harmonious to heaven's own tunes. So therefore, in the entire first stanza of Heart of a Tree, the poet accentuates the importance of trees in maintaining the holistic beauty of nature. Moreover, the words which have been used like heaven and high, heaven's harmony, towering high, is aimed at giving an impression that the work of planting a tree is indeed a heavenly and glorious deed, or work done by a very, very conscious person. Let us start with the second stanza, the figures of speech. What does he plant who plants a tree? Figure of speech, Hypophora. a question at the very beginning of a stanza, and the answer follows. Cool shade and tender rain and seed and bud of days to be and years that fade and flush again. Polysyndeton, the repetitive use of a conjunction in place of a comma. He plants the glory of the plain. He plants the forest heritage. Anaphora. He plants the glory of the plain, forest heritage are epithets used to describe the splendor of trees. So what's the glory of the plain? Trees. What's the forest heritage? Trees. Alliteration, fade and flush. FF. So alliteration. And then we have
Synecdoche.
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 And what is synecdoche? A part for a whole. So here, unborn Icse. Seeds and buds represent the promise of life and a potential for growth. And the use of cool shade, tender rain, seeds and buds are used to refer to a tree are the examples of metonymy. The poet repeats the question to begin the second stanza and attempts to answer again in the subsequent lines. The trees he plants provides us with cool shade and helps in bringing rain. A tree will produce seed and bud in the future. Years will pass silently, but the tree will remain there through its seeds, producing new trees. Trees are the main elements that make a plain area green and beautiful. So the poet describes trees as the glory of the plain. Moreover, today's single tree may turn into a forest by the amount of seeds which it gives and the trees that grow from those seeds. And therefore, our next generation would be delighted seeing so much vegetation and reaping the benefits of the tree. When we plant a tree today, we don't plant it for ourselves. The tree will outlive us. And our future generations will enjoy the fruits of that tree. So in this stanza, the poet stresses on the importance of planting a tree for making the earth a better living place for our future generations. Stanza. What does he plant to plant a tree? We all know this figure of speech now, Hypophora. He plants in sap and leaf and wood. Again, polysyndeton. Correct. Conjunctions repetitive. In the love of our home and loyalty and far-cast thought of civic good. So what would be the civic good of the tree girls? The civic good would be the tree stopping erosion, providing food for birds and animals, giving out oxygen, taking in carbon dioxide, providing firewood, providing a habitat, providing shade, and even the urban benefits of trees. What would be the urban benefits? Obviously, a cooler city, more shade. Looking at the trees would make us reduce stress. And then we go, his blessings on the neighborhood. So when a person plants a plant, he is actually helping everyone. Now we look at the figure of speech, who in the hollow of his hands, his is capitalized. Why his hand holds all the growth of our land? His refers to God, God-like ability. God is actually the first person who planted trees. And when we plant trees, we become godlike. Godlike ability of the planter of the trees to bless future generation. That is why his has been capitalized. By planting a tree, the man shows his love and loyalty for this earth, his sense of civic duty and his blessings on the neighborhood. All these are reflected in the line, sap and leaf and wood. By planting a tree, man is directly or indirectly contributing to the nation's growth. When a tree is planted, it sets in motion the progress of a nation from sea to sea. And all this starts from the progressive thought in the man's heart who plants a tree. What it means is simply that when a man plants a tree, he is actually planting a forest because the tree will give so many fruits. Those fruits definitely have seeds, and those seeds will fall somewhere and more trees will grow. The last line is very important as it talks about the man's heart, his feelings, dreams, and wishes behind planting the tree. The capitalization in his, hollow of his hand, indicates that man who plants a tree is all powerful, just like God, and is also a destiny maker of a nation. Because the more trees he plants, he's not only helping the ecosystem of his nation, not only helping the environment, but trees not only gives us fruit, which is good for all of us, it also gives us timber, it gives us resin, it gives us so many things. And therefore, he's almost godlike when he plants a tree. I hope you enjoyed the heart of a tree and all the new figures of speech which you have gone through with this poem. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe to my channel and also do press the like button. Thank you.